I'm not joking. Let's have a look at this live. So bpy.types. If this already exists in Blender,
Well, that's cool because you've shown the slow way around, and here's the fast way.
color managed sequencer color space setup. What? I think that changes this down here. Let's bring this up. And so, wow. You know when you change and go full view on one of your windows? I believe that's how you change these color settings here, rather than it being something you can convert with, which is what we're doing. Yes, you could in theory change this to XYZ, but then good luck. It does change a lot. In all honesty, it does change a lot of things if you start playing around with. Here's the color sequence that you were talking.
Mikey did reinvent the wheel, but it was a wheel that no one had yet invented.
Star terms and conditions apply. So now we can bring in all of these other colors as well. Now that we've fixed that. And then further down here, we've got everything coming in. We're going to have to indent this lot and then uncomment this lot here. So now we've got our protection and we won't create extra colors. We should still only have 18. They should all have, here we go, base color, the correct color. Let's go to another one. Scroll up here, change it to that one there. So 31422D. I thought I'd check more than one just in case it wasn't working.
Yeah, one that didn't look black.
Exactly right. Right, there are a couple of other things that I did want to show you. I have just clocked the time and I'm having fun, so we are going to continue.
Good.
So one of the things that we're not checking here is whether or not it's using nodes. So we're creating a new color. Then what we can do is go and change whatever that color is. And we can say use nodes. And again, you can look, I'm going to be a bit faster now. We could go use nodes equals false, because then and we can add a fake user anytime. I feel like adding it lower down, so I will do. By the way, if you want to move lines of code up and down like this within Blender, even though its IDE isn't great, you can hold down Shift and Control in order to move it up and down. Earlier on today, I was trying to do that, got really confused because I was using the VS Code shortcut, which is not that. So we've set use nodes to false and then set the diffuse color. However, what we can then do, we've set that part of it, is go color name. Use I try not to copy and paste, but for the sake of brevity, yep, speed, I'll do that. So then we can set it to use true. And now we need to go ahead and find how we go. So we're using nodes. How do we change this? Well, rather than looking around at the documentation, you can also copy the full data path. So right click on something you want to have a look at and copy full data path and just paste that in and see what you get. So we've got here the bpy.data.materials, the name of the material we're looking at, the name of the node within that tree of nodes we're looking at, which will just be this. This is okay to start using this as a sort of a default template, because it's always going to be principled BSDF by default. If you start changing things around, you're going to have to modify your code to take that into account. So we can substitute this bit at the beginning with just M, because we've already done that. We don't want to just do it for that one color, so we can go color name. And default value here, we can make this equal, once again, our RGBA. And now that we're using it twice, there might be a... I'm not going to this time round, just again for brevity, but there may be a reason now. You've used it here and you've used it here. It's probably a good time to make a variable out of it. I said I'm not going to do it. I feel bad not doing it. Color for Blender.
Vertex has investigated there may not be an exposed function that changes from sRGB to RGB in Blender Python. But good news, Vertex, it's open source, so you can be the person who adds that.
Okay, so I can't not do that. I'm afraid I do have to make sure that something we're using multiple times, because if you need to change this, you don't want to have to change it in multiple places.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's run that code, and again, we've got our protections in, so nothing's going to have changed this time round. So I'm going to go in and delete those materials from the outliner, run our code, and now when we go ahead and have a look at it, what we should see is not only have we got fake users, as we've asked, we should have the right color in here. I don't know what that was. Here we go. 3010 1D, 3010 1D. Perfect. But if we switched to not using nodes, it also contains the same information.
One more thing I would add. Line 62. If color name in BPY data materials continue, I would change continue for delete material. And then get rid of the else. That way you don't have to purge it. If it's in there, get rid of it and recreate it.
I think that's a good idea if you wanted to do that. I think
well put, mate.
It genuinely does. I think that's a great point. If you,
I don't think it's a
wanting
thing we have to do
Yeah.
here. I'm saying that's a thing you could do.
Yeah,
If you were doing this again and again and again, rather than going in manually and purge it, you could just, instead of continue, you could put it there.
I didn't want to do that, because what I didn't want to do is keep bringing in the same not deleting just to re-add the same material, because you might have done things to these materials after you've brought them in. So yes,
That's
deleting them during here would be ideal, but I wouldn't want to leave that delete code in here, go and alter these materials after I brought them in. Because one of the things you could do, you run this, it's using nodes, and you go and start to play around with some of these other options. You actually say that this particular color, it's going to be on all our metallic objects, so we're going to make it look
but there's a way of fixing that. Rename it.
Yes, this code can obviously get as complex as you want it to, or it could be lovely and simple.